In the annals of history, few names are as synonymous with wisdom as King Solomon. His reign is remembered as a golden age, a time of unparalleled peace, prosperity, and intellectual splendor. He was the sage king, the master of proverbs, the judge whose insight could pierce the veil of human deception. God himself gifted him a wise and understanding heart, the likes of which had never been seen before, nor would be seen again. But history is a tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy, and within the magnificent story of Solomon lies a devastating paradox. How could the man who built God's holy temple, the man who possessed divine wisdom, also become the architect of his own kingdom's downfall? How did King Solomon become both the wisest and the most foolish king to ever rule? To understand this riddle, we must first journey to the height of his glory. Solomon's ascent to the throne was not without peril, but his first act as king defined his legacy. In a dream, God appeared to him and offered him anything he desired: riches, long life, the defeat of his enemies. A lesser man would have chosen any of these. But Solomon, in a moment of profound humility, asked for only one thing: an understanding heart, to judge his people and to discern between good and evil. This request pleased God so greatly that he granted Solomon not only unparalleled wisdom, but also the riches and honor he did not ask for. This wisdom was not an abstract concept. It was a practical, powerful tool. Its most famous demonstration came early in his reign. Two women came before him, both claiming to be the mother of a single living infant. With no witnesses and no evidence, the case seemed impossible. But Solomon's mind cut through the knot of lies. "Bring me a sword," he commanded. "Divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other." The court fell silent, horrified. But the king was not watching the sword. He was watching the women. The false mother agreed, callously stating, "Let it be neither mine nor yours. Divide it." But the true mother cried out in anguish, "Oh, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means kill it." In that cry of selfless love, Solomon found his truth. He had judged not the evidence, but the heart. This single act cemented his reputation across the world. His wisdom manifested in every facet of his rule. He organized Israel into administrative districts, established lucrative trade routes by land and sea, and amassed wealth that became legendary. Gold was said to be as common as stones in Jerusalem. His crowning achievement was the construction of the first temple, a breathtaking edifice of cedar, gold, and stone, a permanent home for the Ark of the Covenant. It was the physical manifestation of his devotion and the focal point of a nation at its zenith. He was a scholar, a poet, a biologist authoring thousands of proverbs and songs, with knowledge spanning from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the wall. For a time, Solomon was the perfect king, the living embodiment of divine wisdom on earth. But here, the paradox begins. The very pillars of his success became the foundation of his failure. Solomon's wisdom was a gift, but it was not a guarantee. He still had free will, and slowly, insidiously, his heart began to turn. The seeds of his folly were sown in the soil of his greatest strengths. His first misstep was pride, born from his immense wealth. The law of Moses explicitly warned Israel's kings not to accumulate great amounts of silver and gold, nor to multiply horses from Egypt. Solomon did both, on a scale never before imagined. His divinely given prosperity curdled into an earthly materialism that blinded him to the humility that had first earned him God's favor. His second and most catastrophic error involved his political strategy. To secure his borders and create alliances, Solomon married foreign princesses. This was common practice for kings of the era, a seemingly wise geopolitical move. But for the king of Israel, it was a direct violation of God's command. He amassed a staggering 700 wives and 300 concubines, many from nations who worshipped other gods. And with these women came their idols. The mind that could so brilliantly discern the truth of a mother's love became clouded by affection and a desire to please. To appease his foreign wives, Solomon, the very man who built a temple to the one true God, began to build shrines and high places for pagan deities. He built altars for Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and even for Molech, the horrific god to whom children were sacrificed. This was the ultimate act of foolishness. He betrayed the very source of his wisdom. The man who knew more about God's creation than anyone alive began to bow down to idols of wood and stone. The final irony is what he did to his own people. The king who asked for an understanding heart to serve his subjects ended up oppressing them. To fund his lavish lifestyle and endless construction projects, including the pagan shrines, he imposed crippling taxes and forced labor. The nation groaned under the weight of his glory. The wise shepherd had become a tyrant. In the end, God's judgment was delivered. Because Solomon's heart had turned away, his kingdom would be torn apart. It would not happen in his lifetime for the sake of his father David, but his son would inherit a fractured nation. The Golden Age would end in civil war, a direct consequence of the foolish choices made by the wisest of men. So what made Solomon the wisest and most foolish king? The answer is that wisdom is not merely intellectual knowledge. It is the application of that knowledge in obedience and humility. Solomon never lost his intellect, but he lost his way. He knew what was right, yet he deliberately chose what was wrong. And that is the very definition of folly. His story is a timeless, cautionary tale. It serves as a stark reminder that no amount of intelligence, wealth, or success can protect us from the corrosion of a divided heart. The wisest man in the world built God a magnificent house, but he failed to guard the temple within himself. And in that failure, he shows us that the line between wisdom and foolishness is not a chasm, but a razor's edge upon which we all walk.